You're listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
Well, hey guys, I had to resist the top of the morning to you entrance because it's St. Patrick's Day.
Woohoo! Yeah, that's a natural one to fall into, huh?
Yeah.
We sure are lucky we can skip that one.
Was that a leprechaun joke?
No.
Just a luck thing. Just lucky.
Blanket statement. No.
Oh my God. Just so you know, we had to give Eric a 5-minute buffer to get out of his really terrible Irish accent. He got stuck in it like a trench on the Death Star and just couldn't find his way out.
There's no guarantee it won't come back.
There isn't, and it's totally unintentional.
Yep.
But as you may have guessed, this is our St. Patrick's Day episode, so we're covering some Irish mythology.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm Ben.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Jerry.
And welcome to our St. Patrick's Day celebration of Cult of Lore.
Yeah.
We got 3 different things this time as opposed to covering one giant thing because there is no fucking way.
Oh my God, seriously.
I think all 3 of us grossly underestimated what we were getting into. Some of us had better ideas than others, but I think all 3 of us went, oh shit.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, this mythology is quite vast and much more uncertain than I thought.
Right.
Initially.
A lot more shaky ground than what you would expect.
Right. So that was daunting. And it's obviously there will be more St. Patrick's Days. And so we will be doing more St. Patrick's Day episodes with Irish mythology. There's tons to delve into. We're barely going to scratch the surface. I promise you that.
And if there's some other dates, events that would give us an excuse to bust out the Irish stuff that we don't know about, let us know and we'll maybe get in there.
Yeah, seriously. So let us know, Irish folk.
Yeah, and we are going to be looking at we are talking about maybe doing like a Day of the Dead type Hispanic lore.
Right.
Getting into some of the other regional ones when the holidays allow.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. And in the meantime, following this episode, we'll be back to your regularly scheduled
40K Grim Darkness of the Far Future.
Yeah. So
with
I think that's Angron.
Angron, that's right. The Red Angel.
Yeah.
Yes, the Red Angel.
Primarch of the Wild Eaters.
Right.
That was a fun episode to record. We already did it. Spoiler alert.
We're in a weird place in time where we've both already done it and it hasn't happened yet. So
we're Schrodinger's cult. We're simultaneously culty and not culty.
At the same time, but either. That's how that works, right?
Until you observe it.
Yep. Then it's observed.
Yep.
It's either a wave or a particle at that point.
Okay, so with this, we're doing 3 different things, 3 different stories.
Yeah.
Jerry's going to lead us off. Jerry, what are you covering with us today?
All right, guys. Have you ever heard of a changeling?
Yes.
I have, but I know little about them.
Yeah, I was going to say, but I am not foolish enough to think that I'm going, so I can snooze through this one. I don't think so.
Okay,
yeah.
These things were fun to read about.
I bet.
Okay, it's like a type of fairy.
Okay, right.
As a lot of things in Celtic mythology seem to be.
Yeah.
Although, to me, from what I've seen, like the term fairy in Celtic seems to be almost like Jotun for Norse, where it's like,
Right.
Yeah.
It's a type of thing that exists that's not like us.
Right.
And it comes in a variety.
Yeah. Broad scope.
Yeah. No, I think that's not a bad analogy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah. They are sometimes called an off or an oof.
Oh.
Oof.
But what they are is it is a fairy that replaces usually a human child. But the fairies will come and like steal your child and put a fairy there. And it kind of, it's like...
It's an equal exchange.
Yeah, it's like your baby.
I don't think it is. It's not an equal exchange, is it?
No, it is not equal.
No.
So they can appear sickly and not grow like normal.
Okay.
Some other traits.
Oh no. So I might see where this is going. Go on.
Yeah. So that kid that's eating paste in your class, be nice.
You never know.
Could be a changeling. Something I thought that was funny is one of the traits they could have is like they could have a long beard. Or like really long teeth.
As a child?
Yes, as a child.
My child, like, what big teeth you have.
This is the weirdest baby I've ever seen. They could be more intelligent or insightful, for being a child.
Right. Okay.
Like, why are you doing my taxes? Like, what are you doing over there?
And why do you have to shave now?
And another thing they might do is they might act weird when they're alone, or like dance, or be really energetic, or play an instrument. So like if your baby is playing an instrument, could be a changeling.
Could be a changeling. An instrument that it didn't previously know how to play.
Yes.
Right.
It would just suddenly know.
Suddenly some things from my childhood make more sense than they did previously.
Oh no.
Anyway.
This isn't good. So why would they take a baby and put like put a
fairy there?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Well, they think it maybe they were taking the baby to be like a human servant for the fairies.
Oh,
that sucks.
Huh.
They were taking the babies to exchange them, maybe to something else for something, like a fairy,
like a different race.
Yeah, it's like with. There's a fairy that's like, I could really use a baby for breakfast. Go fetch me one.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Epstein.
Oh no.
Harvesting. But my favorite reason is they were taking an elderly fairy that is like ready to retire. And putting it in the place of the child.
That makes sense.
So that it could be taken care of. Like the humans just be like, I'm taking care of my baby.
That makes sense with the beard, the wisdom.
It's their nursing home plan.
It's a retirement plan for fairies.
I have never heard that before. That is amazing.
How depressing must their lives be?
Yeah, right?
Oh my God, can you be like, I'm going to go suck on this lady's boob. I'll be back later.
Right? I'm going out in style.
Going out in style.
No wonder they pee on the mom's faces sometimes. It's just an old guy being a dick. I get it now. So if you see me punching a baby, it's a fairy.
Right. Yeah. You just have to take our word for it, because we know the signs now.
And just like Dean Winchester, you got to fight them fairies.
You got to fight them fairies.
I love that episode. That episode's fucking hilarious.
Fight the fairies.
Fight the fairies. You fight those fairies.
This baby has a beard.
Oh, God.
That's another detail I had never heard before.
Me neither.
Beards. I'm like, how do they blend in then?
Yeah. I was like,
what?
That's weird.
Yeah. But, the parents are just like, oh, okay, that happened. This is fine.
I mean,
remember the werewolf episode? The person had like the uncontrolled hair growth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe there's just a lot of ugly Irish babies back then. He's like, it's not mine.
Yeah.
Honestly, because some of the symptoms sound like early childhood things. Like maybe ADHD could be in there somewhere.
Yeah.
There were just being sickly too. How they were talking about
just a little different.
Yeah, having like some sort of
defect, stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or a nice cover up for an affair.
Yeah.
Or if your kid's a really bad dancer and you're like, I'm not claiming that.
He dances like a changeling. I don't know. Gets it from his dad's side.
Can you just imagine like some kid has been like in secret practicing an instrument for months because they're shy or they want to surprise somebody, and then their like parent catches them like playing the instrument super well, and they're like, well, fuck, we got to kill this child now.
Okay, that's it. I want to see the horror Celtic version, the remake of Footloose.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
There it is. He's a changeling. I'll not have a changeling in my house.
Run, Kevin Bacon, run!
I want the same soundtrack.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Just coming out of flutes and
in a tractor chicken scene.
Oh, God.
I want that.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow.
So if you want to prevent your child from being taken...
Oh good. There's preventative
There are some ways to do this.
Okay, good.
You can invert a coat near the child, I think.
Okay, turning a coat inside out.
Turn the coat inside out, leave it nearby. Apparently the fairies are like, oh, no, I'm not messing with this kid.
Okay.
Another super safe one is to open iron scissors and leave them where the child sleeps. I guess
there we go.
The fairies don't like the iron.
Yeah, that's
scissors for some reason. You leave them open. I don't know if you close them. I don't know what happens.
Right.
I like this one. This is my
leaving open scissors next to a child,
right next to the window.
Yeah,
yeah.
next to
the open window.
They
Otherwise, how can the fairies get in to find the scissors?
Right.
You got to invite them in to fuck them over so they realize to stay out of there.
I think the only other way that I found was to just watch the child constantly. So like.
That sounds
like
unreasonable.
A night vigil.
Yeah,
no fairies are getting in my watch.
I could be responsible and keep an eye on my kid, but the iron scissors sounds better.
Right.
Yeah. It's
I mean, iron is something you often see that as something like Fae do not like it.
Yeah, repels things.
Yeah.
So, but does it have to be scissors? Could you do like an iron like railroad bar that's underneath the bed? Wouldn't that work?
Yeah, I would think.
I don't know. It's probably something specific to their mythology in some way. You know, the sharp edge might have something to do with it since they must be open, you know?
Kind of like silver and werewolves or something.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I will have, because I'm curious too, like why open and why just scissors? Because there's other iron things. Yeah. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
Weird.
Sometimes they would take adults and replace those with something.
Oh.
But what was neat about that is they replace the person that they had taken, instead of a fairy, they would replace them with a log that was like enchanted to look like the person. And then obviously that person would like wither away as this like magic looking log.
Oh my God. Just slowly
like, shit.
So now
they've been real quiet lately.
Yeah, now all I can picture is this is the excuse of what happened to somebody when they had like a stroke.
I know. Yeah, they're just like permanently bedridden. No one knows why.
They're
a beaver stealing grandma.
Yeah. It's just like
that's something totally different.
A beaver is
that's a completely separate thing.
Something's in there just gnawing on them. They're like, oh my God, Grandma, please wake up. Come on, tell me you're no.
No, I just pictured like a beaver dam full of like corpses,
old people.
It just looks like people in there.
Just blank faced.
Oh God.
Holy cow. I wonder why they get a log instead of a fairy. It doesn't seem fair.
It's a size thing. Like
Could
maybe
be.
when you convert
the fairies aren't big
smaller
enough.
Size.
Yeah.
You can't convert them into a bigger size.
But why a log?
I don't know.
It's lighter than a stone, probably. Like a big boulder of equivalent size.
It would be readily available.
Yeah, I mean,
they're easily moldable, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm with you. People logs. Let's go.
People logs.
Yeah. Or log people.
Log people.
Log
right.
people.
Yeah.
Primarily log, secondary people. So log people.
All right. So imagine, all right, you think your child's a changeling.
Okay.
You're pretty sure.
Usually.
Right. This bastard's playing that fiddle awful well. Yeah.
Now, how do you deal with it?
Fire.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Throw your changeling child into a fireplace.
Love it.
It will go up the chimney and bring your child back.
Well,
I'm going to need citations.
Okay, what?
That is what I found.
It will go up the chimney and
it goes up the chimney and then brings your child back.
Boy.
I wonder if there's ever been, I'm sure there has, cases of parents killing their kids thinking they're changelings.
I'm sure.
That's, yeah, probably.
It's like, he's in there. Anytime now.
Yep.
Anytime now I'll have that kid back.
Come on down, McJimmy. Come on, buddy.
Now, if you're not sure, you can brew eggshells, and then the fairy apparently will find it like so funny or like weird. They'd start talking to you, and that's how you trick it into speech.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, and revealing that it's okay.
It's like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm brewing eggshells, and it's like, why would you do that?
You're like, I got you.
See,
And then it's like, no, seriously, why would you do that?
Right.
You answer me first. I like the idea of testing first before
like you'd
throwing your baby
you wouldn't
into
want to
a fire.
throw a baby in a fire,
Right?
Without being sure.
Right. Sounds irresponsible to me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a parent, but
you don't want to be a helicopter parent.
I don't want to be a helicopter parent.
Oh shit!
Okay.
What'd you find, Ben?
Bridget Cleary, the murder of Bridget Cleary. Do you know this?
I
find her?
Scanned by it. I don't have anything for it.
Okay, was an Irish woman who was murdered by her husband in 1895. She was either immolated or her body was set on fire immediately after her death. The husband stated his motives and beliefs was she had been abducted by fairies and replaced with a changeling, which he then killed. Yep.
Oh, how recent was that?
1869.
1869?
Okay.
Yeah, so, wow. So that's either really tragic or that man is very heroic.
Could go either way.
Could go either way at this point.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Unless
she was a changeling. Like, how do you know? Did they find eggshell? Eggshell soup or something?
Changelings.
Right. Haven't seen many changelings lately. You're right.
I'm going to look more into this. This is fucking interesting.
Yeah, this was a fun research topic.
Wow.
This trial seems pretty. Some people were basically saying he's too stupid to stand trial.
Ooh.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Like, and the reason why I'm using that word is because they're not being real kind to him about it. So it's like, I don't know. Basically, it looks like his education wasn't real high, but there was nothing like mentally wrong with him. He just was kind of uneducated moron, and I don't know. I want to look more into that. It's really interesting. Anyway, carry on.
Sent him down a rabbit hole. Huh?
Sure as fuck did.
Yeah. So changelings, throw your kid in a fire. It's the thing to do.
You heard it here at Cult of Lore.
Stamped and approved. I like it. Eric, what are you covering?
I am covering the Dagda.
The Dagda.
The Dagda.
Dagda.
The Dagda. Yeah, that's might be better. Yeah, I know. I honestly, precursor to this, we should have said this at the beginning. Pronunciations. Fucking, we're terrible at them.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to do our best.
Yeah, I think you actually mean to pronounce that as Nurgle.
Honestly, there's some parallels here between Nurgle and the Dagda that I think are pretty, interesting. So it's neat that you brought that up. And thank you for reminding me of that. So let's get a little bit into the Dagda, because who is this guy and what is he? He was one of the kings, and I say was one of the kings of pronunciation time. This is going to be terrible. The Tuatha De Danann.
Ooh.
Anyone have any better pronunciations for that? Have you guys
so if I'm reaching in and do not, I think I've heard it pronounced Tatha De Danann.
Tatha De Danann. Okay, we'll go with that. That sounds good.
I don't know if that's I couldn't even actually tell you where I had heard that from, but that
right. Yeah.
My guess would probably be actually no fuck. I have no idea. But that's just what
Right. I feel like I've heard it pronounced that way too, but I wasn't sure if it was correct. So. Tatha De Danann. There we go. Yeah. We'll go with that. They are essentially the god pantheon of Irish mythology, and the ancestors to the fairies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's another name for them that I'm not sure. Fuck it. I'll try the pronunciation. Something like the Sidhi or Sadie or something like that. They're the fairy, basically the name for the fairy folk. Mm-hmm. And so the Dagda was king of the Tuatha De Danann for a time there. I think he was the longest running reign among them because, okay, here's the other thing about Irish mythology. There were different migrations into Ireland that would, somebody would move in, something bad would happen, they'd all pretty much get wiped out or leave. And that happened a couple of times. I believe that the Tuatha De Danann came in fourth. They were like the fourth big migration in, and then the fifth one was the people of Ireland. And so let's see. Let's just talk about this guy a little bit. What is he the god of? Because he is a god, and he's actually thought of as kind of an equivalent to Odin of Norse mythology in a lot of ways.
Interesting.
Yeah. And he has a lot of overlap there with kind of what we get into here. He's associated with fertility and agriculture, as well as like manliness and strength, magic, druidry, wisdom. So,
okay.
Stuff like that. I personally, this is just me personally, would also kind of throw some Thor influences into this guy as well. But the consensus seems to be much more leaning towards Odin. The Dagda had several tools associated with him. He had a staff or a club or a mace, it differs, that could kill 9 men with one blow. And with the other side of it, the handle side, he could bring the slain back to life.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, gee whiz.
Right. He had a cauldron. Now, these all have special names that I won't attempt the pronunciation of. But he has a special cauldron whose name means the undry cauldron. And it is a bottomless cauldron that is ever producing food. No man leaves this cauldron unsatisfied. You can eat to your heart's content, and there will always be more in it. And then he had a harp that was made of oak, and he used it to put the seasons in their proper order. You know, by playing it, he would put order to those. I also heard some stories where, you know, it could put people to sleep or order battles. Like, you know, he used it to kind of compose a battle.
Now that's cool.
That's a pretty neat one, isn't it? And other things, I think you could also, I think there was one instance where you like, no, he didn't kill anybody with it. That was just putting them to sleep one. He made them all sleep. Ecstatic, different things. He can invoke. Yeah.
He can give you a boner with
story. Probably. Hey. Yeah. That he's a fertility guy after all.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To the extent that like later depictions of him that were probably propaganda in nature have him much more oafish with like a big
phallus.
Giant dong hanging out. Yeah, dragging along, and he looked quite dopey. Yeah.
Seeing that Japanese creature that like throws its testicles over its shoulders when it walks. Can't remember what those are called.
Yeah. Also kind of going back to the Odin thing too, he has a bunch of different names. Odin does as well, but one name that they both share is Allfather.
Ooh,
apparently. Yeah,
like
they're both known as the Allfather, and they're the father of their pantheon. As a Allfather sort of god, he's got an extensive family. He was married to the Morgan, which was a very scary goddess, often associated with battle or death. And sometimes she's a triple goddess and has 3 different personas. And sometimes, you know, it's just the one.
She's a reoccurring character today.
Is she? Mm-hmm. Ah, cool. Okay, neat. So I won't go too much into her then just yet, but just in that she's, you know, his wife. He cheats on her at one point with another goddess named Bowen, maybe, who he has a baby with, but to hide the pregnancy from her guy, he has the sun stop for 9 months so that the baby can come to term, and the other guy who was like away on a like day-long task thinks it's all been one day, comes back, baby's already been born and gone. And that was
I guess if you're a god and concept of time is a little wonky.
Right. Yeah. Like, this day seems a little longer than usual, whatever.
But not by much. Yeah. I didn't have my coffee when I left. It's just dragging a little bit.
Fine. The child from that little affair was, I think it's pronounced Angus, but I'm not sure. Aengus is what I wrote down.
Hi, Angus.
And he's kind of sounds a little bit like Apollo to me. I don't know. He's associated with youth and love and summer and poetic inspiration. Some of those seem kind of Apollo-y, you know? I don't know. It's a guess. And then he had some other kids who were pretty important. Why am I doing this? Bodabderg. He was the next king. So he's probably really important. It was probably terrible that I butchered his name. Ooh. There was another one, Bridget. It's the name that Bridget comes from, I think. Ooh. And she's a pretty big one in Irish mythology. And that was a daughter of his. He also has Aed, a god of the underworld. I wonder what that means. You know, I don't know. I'm not too well versed in Irish mythology. But yeah, some big players in the pantheon were his kids, you know, probably just like Zeus, you know, kind of like Zeus, and all the Allfathers have affairs too, you know.
Dagda.
He's the Dagda. One of the cool stories, and this is another kind of personal theory tie-in with Thor here. One of the stories associated with him is that he banished a giant octopus using his staff, and he caused the ocean to recede, carrying the octopus away with it. And it created the plane of Magmerthim. Yep. It's an important plane. I think it's like a whole like kingdom or something to them.
Oh, wow.
You know, I don't know, something like that. Like it cleared the sea back from this place. And so that's a story associated with them. And so once again, you have like a a god with something to hit things with, opposing a giant sea creature. Yeah. And okay, I'll start wrapping things towards the end here, because we do actually have an end with this fine king. He reigned for about 70 or 80 years. It varies. Before he was wounded by a javelin thrown by somebody named Sethlin or Kethlin, who I think was one of the Fomorians, which were in opposition to the Tothadainon, and they got in wars and battles with each other and stuff.
Yeah.
I think he was one of them. Chucked a javelin at the Dagda. It took the Dagda 120 years to die from the wound, but it was a mortal wound. And it was an important battle in their thing. I don't know. I didn't, start going into stuff like that, like their actual pantheon's mythology, but I always found the Dagda pretty interesting, and I wanted to take this opportunity to look more into him for myself and see. I would be very interested in more information on and surrounding Dagda if you listeners do feel so compelled as to leave a comment. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You got? I was trying to find where in my story where she comes up, because I know she does, but I couldn't find it. So it'll just have to be for another time.
All right.
Mysterious. I am covering a hero by the name of Cú Chulainn.
Cú Chulainn.
Also known as Cú Chulainn. Also known as... So, who is Cú Chulainn? Cú Chulainn is a very, very odd Celtic hero. Irish hero. I will admit that I did not realize that his story was as long as it is.
Yeah.
It's very detailed, very intricate. Got a lot of players. So we won't be touching on all that. In fact, if people want and they like the idea, what I'll do is for St. Patrick's Day, instead of picking new things, I'll break down his tale into, let's say, 3 parts.
Right.
And really do a little bit more of the character dives and a little bit more of the storytelling in it, because I was not prepared for all this. But we can do the 30,000 foot overview of Cú Chulainn.
All right.
Cú Chulainn is a demigod. I mean, if you wanted to qualify him as anything, he would be a demigod. He was half human, supposedly half god. Most people think the Irish god Lu.
Oh, yeah, Lu. I think it's Lu. Something like Lu.
Yeah, Lugh, but that's not how it's pronounced.
Right.
But anyway.
He has a special spear, I think.
He does. And so did Cú Chulainn.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
So I won't make a big mention of it, but Cú Chulainn had a spear that was an instant kill whenever it would hit somebody. But if he were to kick it into his opponent, it would then turn them into spines. Like, basically, it would shoot spines all throughout their body and turn them into basically a giant thorn bush.
Whoa.
That's a cool power.
Holy cow.
Did the spear have a name?
I couldn't find it. I'm sure it did, but I only found...
Probably, yes.
I'm sure it does, but I found... nope, there it is. Oh. Gay bulge. Gaeebulg.
That's so funny. Listen, we're Americans, okay? We're doing our best to learn about people and things.
What's funny is I looked down and it happened to be right where my notes were. Yes.
There we go.
Hey, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Sunset and all that.
It's a pretty cool sounding spear, though. Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want one.
Me too. I want to kick it to somebody.
No. Anyway, so Cú Chulainn was not his original name. He was born Satanta. He goes into town for the guy with the mask.
He goes into town.
Bad joke. Anyway, so Satanta is kind of, it was a Tonto joke, dude.
Oh, damn it.
So Satanta is basically, they don't actually think that was his name. If this character was based off of a real person.
Right.
So just like Spartacus, hey. It's the second time.
Yeah. You guys won't hear it yet.
No. But Spartacus, that wasn't his actual name. They named him after the Thracian king Spartan. No, Spartacus was his name. but he was a Thracian king. And the only reason why they named him that is because he looked like he was from Thrice.
Oh, okay.
So that wasn't his actual name. And he was named more after the region that he looked like he was from.
Okay.
And that seems to be kind of the case.
Kind of like a wrestler name. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to call him, so they called him that. And that seems to be, what happened here. And he ended up being quite a character. So from very early age, I think he went to war for the first time when he was 7.
Oh, my God.
He was visiting an uncle. And his uncle was talking to his advisors about a battle that was getting ready to happen. And his uncle had a prophecy that said that anybody that took place in this battle was assured 2 things: glory and a short life.
Huh.
And when he looked over, Setanta was suiting up for battle. And Setanta had already done some crazy shit as far as strength-wise that nobody was going to argue with his 7-year-old.
Wow.
And so he went into battle and won. And so this did 3 things. This proved his worth in battle. This gave him the prophecy that would dominate his life because now he was guaranteed to earn glory and a short life. And exposed a power of his called a warpseas.
A warpseas?
Cú Chulainn is the lost Primarch.
Oh, I forgot to make the Nurgle Dagda ties. We'll circle back to that.
We will come back to it. Where is that quote? Warp spasm. That's what it was called.
Warp spasm. Ooh, sounds like something out of 40K, damn it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just let the description of what happened. So, like, when I first started this, a lot of people described him as, like, an Irish Hulk. Like, when he would get angry, he would turn into this big creature, like werewolf thing. No.
Oh.
No. That is a gross misinterpretation of what happened to this guy.
Huh.
The force warp spasm seized Cú Chulainn and made him into a monstrous thing, hideous, shapeless, and unheard of. His shanks, his joints, every knuckle, angle, and organ from head to foot shook like a tree in the floor or a reed in the stream. His body made a furious twist inside his skin so that his feet and shins switched to the rear of his heels and calves twitched to the front. On his head, the temples and sinews stretched into the nape of his neck, each mighty and immense, measureless knobs as big as the head of the mouth of an old child. Oh, each as big as the head of a month-old child. He sucked one eye so deep into his head that a wild crane couldn't probe it into his cheek, and the other came out from the depths of his skull. His cheek peeled back from his jaws until his gullet appeared. His lung and liver flapped in his mouth and throat. His lower jaw struck the upper. Oh my God! So this is like Old English. His lower jaw struck the upper a lion-killing blow in fiery flakes as large as ram's fleece. So his face turned into a lion.
What?
The hair of his head twisted like the tangle of a red thorn bush stuck in a gap. If a royal apple tree with all of its kingly fruit were shaken above him, scarce an apple would reach the ground, but each would be spiked on the bristle of his hair so that it stood up on his scalp with rage. So basically, his hair would turn up on end, his one eye would pop out, the other would sunk back into his skin, and then his body would turn inside out so that his organs were hanging out. And then each one of his joints and knuckles would be the size of a 6-month-old baby's head.
It's kind of like in a video game when your character bugs real bad.
Yeah.
It stretches out everywhere and goes all confused.
Boy, the Irish were imaginative. Dear Lord, how do you conceive of such a thing?
I don't know.
Wow. Because it's like, okay, at first this kind of sounds like a berserker rage or a werewolf analog.
Like a whole thing, but
yeah,
it's
just like,
else.
No, he turns into like the grossest kind of monster you could think of.
Flesh golem.
Flesh golem.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And this gave him like immense rage in battle that allowed him to fight.
Holy crap. Okay, I'm going to take just a moment here to speculate on how that story might have. I wonder if there was just a guy who was so covered in gore that he was He's
just covered in other people's guts.
Yeah, just like from
I have no
battle or
fucking idea.
That's there. Anyway, yep, that was my moment to speculate. I just have to find something in my brain that's like
what inspired this?
Yeah, and then made it a hero, because you can think of the worst sort of things to fear, but this is like one of their heroes.
Yeah. And so when he was not in that form, he was described as being like a young man with brown hair, really good looking, like very, so much so that that when he was older, the other men were afraid that he would steal their wives.
Oh,
okay.
Wow, virtuous charmer, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after this battle, he got invited to a dinner by his uncle and one of the guys that was kind of part of the battle. And at this guy's castle, he had a trainer who basically a groundskeeper, and this groundskeeper had a large hound. The word for hound in Old Gaelic is Cú. So now we're starting to get into where he got the name Cú Chulainn.
Oh, cool.
So everybody was there. Cú Chulainn was running late. Setanta at the time was running late, and apparently the groundskeeper didn't get word that this kid was coming, and so he sicks the dog on him, and Cú Chulainn picks up a rock and throws it straight down the charging dog's mouth.
Ooh.
Choking it to the ground, and then bashes its head off a rock, killing it.
Jesus.
When the groundskeeper sees this, he becomes really distraught, and everybody kind of comes rushing out, and they figure out that it's all a miscommunication. And Setanta feels so remorseful over this that he agrees to be this guy's hound until basically another one is either found or trained, and he takes the name Cú Chulainn, which means Cullenn's hound.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And just kept the name from there. Wow.
That's good that he was like, I want to fix this. Like,
it is.
That better.
It is. Yeah.
So from there on, he's working for this guy who sends Cú Chulainn off to get some training from a female warrior because the Cú Chulainn's kind of a pain in the ass. He's really wild. He's really disheveled. He's done. There's huge things that happen in between all of this. Right?
Gotcha.
This stuff. This is an epic of one person.
Right.
So I'm just like doing the highlights, and he gets sent off to this female warrior to train, and he ends up having a fight with her, beats her, and agrees not to kill her because she tries to kill him. That he won't kill her as long as she agrees to bear him a son. Questionable morals, but whatever.
Okay. Yeah. Huh.
So she bears him a son, and then he leaves, goes home without the kid.
Oh. For trying to kill me, you're saddled with 18 years of responsibility.
So he falls in love he falls in love with this lady called Emmer, and her dad is like, nah, you can't have her. So he does what everybody does, and he kills everybody and takes her.
As you do. Okay. Wow. All right. Yeah.
And so they, for the vast majority of his life, which is not real long, but they're married. And he has several like infidelities, but she really doesn't care much. There's one that she seems to have had a bugger with. I didn't really see what was different about that one, but there apparently was something specific about one of the many affairs that he had that got her kind of pissed off.
He's quite Zeusy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. But although there's a lot of parallels to Hercules now that you mention it.
Ooh.
Because what happens is his son comes along and kind of shows up at their house and refuses to identify himself. And in that, Cú Chulainn mistakes him for like an intruder or a rival and kills him.
So he kills his son. Not knowing his son.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. And Hercules killed his whole family at least once.
Yeah. Yes. And so there's the demigod, the killing of the kids.
Yeah.
The killing of the family.
Right.
So this happens, and there really doesn't seem to be a whole lot of repercussions for him for this. It's just it matures him, kind of saddens him.
Oh, okay.
But also, again, there's a few things in here that I really want to dive deeper into.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Right.
So he basically carries on adventuring when he runs into a woman that has affections. She's like pursuing him. She's kind of chasing him everywhere he goes, asking to get some of that sweet Irish deep dong.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually says no, turns her down.
Huh. I wonder why.
I think it's because I think this was right after the affair that had bothered the wife. And so he was perhaps trying to lay off. But the problem is that this. Oh, that's where it was that female god of yours,
the Morgan. Okay.
And so she becomes very spiteful, and she sets about basically the things that are going to end his life.
Boy, that is very Hercules and Hera, isn't it?
Yeah.
She was known as the Dagda's envious wife too, which I know they associated it with Hera and Zeus.
So I wonder if she was doing that to try to get back at Dagda for something.
I don't know. Yeah.
So he's also making no shortage of enemies. He's going along being a loud asshole, fighting people where he can. There's one battle that he got into that really proved who he was. He slipped in, or kind of really got his name out there. He slipped into a rage, killed over 1,000 men by himself, and then built walls out of their bodies.
Whoa. Holy crap.
So he was earning quite the reputation for himself.
I'll say. Jeez. He's more grim than I thought he would be. Just gruesome. Yeah, a lot of gruesome imagery along with him. I didn't realize.
So apparently, it's not like Jerry's was any clean.
I expected his to be creepy.
Right, but that
good,
what I'm saying.
Fun.
What I'm saying is that seems to be kind of an Irish or a Celtic thing.
Right.
Even when you get into like Odin and stuff, which is like still Celtic, they hang themselves and things like that.
Right.
I'm not shying away from these.
You're right. Nah, it's very
The world
dark.
they lived in was brutal. It was cold and people died. It was war.
Yeah.
People starved to death, eaten by animals.
Yeah.
Doesn't breed for happy. The Grimm fairy tales weren't clean either.
That is true. That's very true.
We sanitized the shit out of those. We forgot these.
It's not all sparkly fairies and leprechauns, is it?
It is not. And so basically, we're going to fast forward some things to, they could not, you guys don't know what just happened, but it was weird. A lot of symmetry going on. It was so funny. It stopped me cold. Anyway, she shows up as a crone and she gets him to break a taboo. Now, there are two taboos at play here, from what I understand, and I'm going to try to make sure that I get this right. Eating dog is bad and will render somebody weak physically and spiritually. However, it doesn't weaken you as much as refusing food from a grateful host.
Okay. Interesting.
And so she
refusing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so she invited him over and offered him dog meat. And so he was forced with which weakening he was going to take.
Oh, yep.
And so he ate dog.
Lesser of the two evils.
Yeah.
And so his enemies, knowing this, during the next battle, they went at him real hard. And like Achilles, they threw 3 spears at him. One hit his chariot driver that he was riding on. The other one hit his horse. The other one hit him.
Ooh.
And this was the wound that was going to lead to his death. But, Irish are stubborn bastards. He rebelled a lot against the idea of dying, if that's a statement that makes any sense.
Right. Nah, yeah, quite fierce in his defiance of it.
Yeah. And so to literally spite it, he backed himself up against a giant stone and wrenched his own guts from his body and lashed himself to the stone so that when he did pass away, they weren't able to take him off of his feet.
Oh, wow.
So in survival situations, you can use your guts as a rope.
Yeah, to hold yourself up.
I think I saw something like that on Happy Tree Friends once.
Probably.
Yeah.
Bear Grylls.
Yeah, Bear Grylls topped this one. You drink piss?
Wow.
No food, no water for 3 days.
They were the armies were so scared of him that goddess had to send a crow to land on his shoulder to prove that he was dead.
Like, here, I promise, it's fine now.
And then when they approached him and tried to remove his weapon from him. So, okay, I found 2 different accounts of how this went down.
Okay.
When they approached him, either they tried to cut off his head or they tried to remove his sword.
Okay.
And then, depending on which version you find, when they tried to cut off his head, a beam of light shone down from the sky and cut off the sword arm of the person trying to remove his head.
Yeah.
And
Space
thus,
lasers.
and thus,
space lasers.
ancient aliens could call an alien confirmed.
Yep, it's aliens. Yeah. Yep. Explains so much.
And then they just had to leave him. Or when they tried to remove his sword, that his own reflexes cut the hand off of the guy trying to disarm him.
Ha!
I like that one.
Yeah, I like that one too. Neat. Just that idea of just that twitch and
it's like muscle memory of war. Just
yeah.
Yep.
Just carries through even in death.
And so that's the legend of Cú Chulainn. That is a very short version because, whoo, buddy, I got lost in the weeds on this one. Had to find my way out. Was hacking trees like it was a fucking jungle. Part of what fucked me on this was how many times I had to go and look up who these people were.
Yeah.
And what these things were.
Right.
But it was impressive. There's a lot there. I let me know if you want me to break this way down, because if not, I'll move on to something more. But I'm interested in I'm curious in doing it.
Right. Holy cow.
But yeah, the thing that I found neat about him was people referred to him as like a Hulk character. I'm like, that is not.
Yeah.
That's not what I found.
Yeah. That does not match the description.
Like the artwork that you see of Cú Chulainn that's out there, that's like a nice, good-looking guy with red hair, and then this giant, big, beastly, like Jekyll and Hyde type thing.
Yeah.
That's not right at all.
Huh.
Yeah, I think they have him in the game Smite, which is a online game you can play, but he does look like he like hulks out, and he's, like one side is a little lopsided or whatever.
Oh.
But yeah.
But it's not
that,
like...
That must be
a
different interpretation.
Yeah.
It's a PG interpretation.
Sounds like it. There's some interesting parallels between him and the Dagda, too, I kind of thought in there a little bit. You know, be that stubbornness as far as death goes, getting hit by like the projectile weapon and stuff like that. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and it draws from like Hercules and Achilles.
There's
that in there.
Right. Yeah, I was definitely getting some big Hercules vibes there, too. What else? Another thing I thought was interesting was, he basically turns himself inside out. Turning a jacket inside out was one of the ways to repel a changeling. So I wonder what things being inside out means to those people.
Maybe it's
in their mythology. There might be
a way for humans to confuse things.
Yeah. And in some way, then that turns over into like giving you power in some way. I don't know. There's a little rabbit hole I hope I find. I hope there's something to that find.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know. There is so much that we could have talked about today. Like, there's all sorts of stuff to do with fairies.
It's amazing to me. Like, so we know Greek mythology, even Norse mythology here within the past like 10 years has really picked up steam and prominence.
Right.
It is amazing to me that like between Scotland and Ireland, these two small areas have this gigantic well of stuff that seems to be virtually unknown.
Yeah. Yeah. I know going into this, I definitely didn't know much about it. Coming out of this, I don't feel like I know very much about it.
I definitely grossly underestimated what I was getting into.
Absolutely. Same here.
Got my toe wet.
Yeah.
Not
seriously.
even. I don't feel like I even did that.
Yeah. Because I know there's all sorts of weird creatures associated with like waterways and forests and stuff like that. The leprechauns, they come from an origin that I think is kind of obscure, unknown, and they're not quite what they are today, back then. There's a lot of triple god or triple goddess potential stuff in there, like not just like the Morrigan, but I've found that with others where it's like, he's got two brothers, or maybe it's a triple god,
Yeah, you also have that with Chernobog in, what is that area? The Czech? Is it?
Oh, Slavic?
The Slavic? Yeah.
Slavic.
Chernobog and his, I'm not going to try to pronounce his brother, who's like the sun god.
Yeah.
But they think that it might be just dual aspects.
One's night, one's day, Yeah.
Death and life.
Right.
Those Eric, you were talking about Nurgle and the Dagda.
Oh, yeah. So I thought that was kind of neat. I'm drawing some comparisons here. That cauldron. Okay. So the Dagda is very like, while also being very manly and warlike, was also quite cheerful and seemed to be, he was a good spirited person until you got him angry, probably.
Which seems Nurgle is known for that very.
Yep. Nurgle is known for being quite cheerful and Nurgle of
40K.
40K Chaos Gods, for anybody who is listening that's not familiar with Warhammer.
Yeah, he's right here.
Typically cover. Yeah, he's right
this guy.
Hi, that guy. Okay, go back to sitting down.
Nope. This is not your episode.
But obviously, the cauldron was a big thing for Nurgle.
Yep.
And where he's ever cooking his gift to his followers.
Yeah, and it's a bottomless cauldron
of disease and all sorts of things to cultivate and spread and share, and it never runs out, just like the cauldron of the Dagda never runs out. Also, Nurgle's garden, the Dagda was associated with agriculture and fertility and nature. So he was, very fertile god, liked growing things and stuff like that. So there we have that.
It is. I wouldn't believe that all of that is unintentional.
Yeah, I do wonder, because it seems pretty spot on, like the Dagda specifically, as far as Nurgle goes. Because otherwise, why not make like Nurgle based on some sort of like hag or, something of that nature?
Why make him so cheerful and happy-go-lucky?
I mean, he's singing. He's often singing, and we've got a harp.
And there's no reason for him to have a cauldron, really.
No, it could be like something that emanates from his mouth or boils.
Whatever.
Yeah. So there were some pretty interesting parallels there. The color green, even, we at least in America, associate Irish mythology with a very greenish color, and we've got,
I think it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was a neat find.
That was a good find. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me of that, because that was cool. Welcome. Yeah.
So another thing that we're going to do on these episodes where we check out other things that is not 40K related, and then eventually we'll end up doing this with 40K when Henry comes out with something, if it's good. I would like to provide at least a few other like mediums to experience some Irish stuff. So like a movie and a song, I think we had.
Yes.
So the movie I'm going to recommend, I'm going to take a slightly different stance on this. We were listening to all the Irish pagan mythology, the things that came before, right? The old Celtic, but also it is undeniable that in Ireland there is a strong Catholic root.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
It's a large portion of Catholics. So with that, the movie I'm going to recommend for this St. Patrick's Day is going to be the Boondock Saints.
Oh yeah. Watch the Boondock Saints.
That is your St. Patrick's Day movie. It is a phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
Actually, I am Irish. I can say that.
You can.
I am.
Yeah.
I claim it. I think it's fucking great. And I think it represents us just fine. They drink, they shoot, and the dude that gropes the unconscious tit is Italian. So there you go.
There's my heritage right there. Yep.
Yes.
So proud.
Definitely a wild ride.
Yeah.
It is.
So it's not often we give you guys homework. So
it is not. And then for the song, we're actually going to play some of it at the end of this, hopefully. It is The Tale of Cú Chulainn. The artist is Miracle of Sound on YouTube. He's a YouTube artist. He's an independent artist. He's fucking great. We listen to him all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so with that, I'm Ben.
I'm Eric.
And I'm very sorry.
Yeah, you are. So with that, let Miracle of Sound take us out. Miracle of Sound, please don't copyright strike us. We love you. Bye.
And the name Cú Chulainn was sung out loud that